Hey, what's up guys? It's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a train deck profile. So this is a really awesome deck that basically summons out some really awesome big machines to be able to make some rank 10 plays for you guys, to go into stuff like Gustav Max, and then eventually into Juggernaut Libby, which is just an OTK machine. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name searched in a single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Knight Express Knight. You can normal summon this card to your side of the field, but its attack becomes 0, which is not that big of a deal because usually in this deck you're going to be summoning this card just to go into a rank 10 play. We then play 3 copies of Super Express Train. Super Express Train is also really good because if you control an Earth Machine monster, you can special summon this card to your side of the field. And it also has the ability that during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, then you get to add 1 machine monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is pretty good, except another copy of itself. We then play 3 copies of Heavy Freight Train Decacrane. Decacrane has a really awesome effect that if you summon a Earth Machine monster, then you can special summon this card from your hand right behind it, which is super, super helpful. But its attack and defense become halved, which is not that big of a deal because you're usually just going to use this card to go into rank 10 plays. And it also has the ability that if this card is detached as a material and sent to the graveyard by a Izzy monster, then you get to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Machina Citadel. Machina Citadel is really good in the deck too, because it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned by a card effect, and then it also has the ability that quick effect, you can target a machine monster you control, destroy that monster, and then all monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to that monster, which is pretty good just to be able to pop a card and then be able to destroy all the monsters to OTK your opponent. And then if a face-up Earth Machine monster you control is destroyed, except another copy of this card, then you get to special summon this card from the graveyard, which is pretty good and really easy to actually summon in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede. Railroad Stampede is really good because if this card is normal or special summon, you get to target an Earth Machine monster in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it in defense position, but its effects are negated. You can also target one other face-up monster you control. The level of that monster or this card becomes the level of the opposite monster, which basically copies the level to be either a level 4 or a level 10 to be able to make them both either level 4 or level 10, which is really helpful for this particular deck to go into all those different plays. This card essentially turns into a 1-card normal summon to go into a rank 10 machine, which is just really, really cool. But for the rest turn out this card activates, you cannot declare attacks with monsters except Izzy monsters, which is not that big of a deal. Like a single copy of Ruffian Railcar lets you inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. And also it has but you can't declare an attack that turn, which is a little bit of a shame. But it also has the ability that if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you could add a level 10 Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is really, really helpful. We then play a single copy of Exodios, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord. Exodios is basically here because it has a really nice effect to be able to special summon itself from your hand. If you control or if you have monsters in the graveyard, it shuffles them all back and then special summons itself for free, which is really good to put you a level 10 monster on the field to go into a rank 10. This card has helped me out so much just putting all my different combo pieces back in the deck as well. So you play it as a 1-of in here. We then play 3 copies of the Star Destroying Kaiju because it is a rank 10, or not a rank 10, but a level 10 machine that's going to lead into some rank 10 machines. And it also can get rid of your opponent's monsters, which is really, really nice. And if your opponent has a kaiju, you can actually special summon this kaiju to your field, which is really awesome. Play a single copy of Gandarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju, which is just a wind monster that can special summon itself to your opponent's side of the field by attributing a monster, which is really helpful just to be able to out an opponent's monster that they have on the field, especially if they're playing the barrier statue of Storm Winds. 1 copy of Kamungus, because Kamungus is one of the weaker kaijus in this deck, and I wanted to play different names. And then a single copy of Gamma Seal, because it is the weakest kaiju, and you usually want to give this one to your opponent first. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom, because the Ash Blossoms come in really handy at stopping your opponent from touching the deck. It's just a really, really good card, because you can discard this card from your hand to stop your opponent from adding from deck to hand, special summoning from deck, or sending from deck to graveyard. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Call by the Grave because you just don't want to get hand trapped. This card is so good in this deck. We play a single copy of Monster Reborn because it's going to help you out a lot in this particular deck to be able to revive back your level 10 machines to go into additional plays. Play a single copy of Terraforming because it's going to get your copy of your Evolving Switchyard from the deck. One copy of Harpy's Feather Duster because this card destroys all back row, which is super helpful in this deck just to be able to destroy your opponent's back row so you can go in for the OTK. Speaking of going in for the OTK, I'm playing 3 copies of Limited Removal. I don't know about you, but tripling the attack of my monsters is hilarious when you activate 3 of these, which has actually happened before. It's a really good card in this deck to just be able to help you OTK with 1 attack, because it doubles the attack of all machine monsters you currently control, but it destroys them during the end phase, which is not that big of a deal because you're going to be able to OTK them very quickly with this card. We play 3 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is an awesome card in this deck because it has the ability to destroy all monsters on the field, and then you give your opponent a Kaiju and you get a Kaiju, which means you get a rank 10 machine or level 10 machine, and they get a Gamma Seal, which they get a turtle, essentially. You get a big machine, they get a turtle. We then play 3 copies of Revolving Switchyard. Revolving Switchyard is an awesome field spell that if a level 10 Earth Machine monster is normal or special summon to your field, then you get to activate the effect that your opponent takes no battle damage for the rest of the turn, and then also you special summon a level 4 Earth Machine monster from your deck that has 1800 or more attack. And if you do, it becomes a level 10, which basically instantly gets you into a level 10 Earth machine, 2 level 10 Earth machines on the field to go into a rank 10, which is really helpful for this deck. It also has the ability that you get to send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to add a level 10 Earth machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is just awesome and helps out the deck a lot just to be able to search those cards. And then we play 3 copies of Urgent Schedule. Urgent Schedule has the ability that if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, then you have the ability that you get to special summon a level 4 or lower and a level 5 or higher Earth Machine monster from your deck. You're usually going to set this card on your field and then activate it midway through your opponent's turn or during their end phase, then go into a rank 10 during your turn, which is really helpful, or into a link play because it's going to give you a level 5 or higher, which is always a rank or level 10, and then a level 4 from the deck like a Ruffian Railcar, which is really helpful for this deck. And if this set card is sent from your field to the graveyard, you get to add a level 10 Earth Machine from your deck to your hand, which is really helpful for the deck just to grab your Earth Machines from the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So we only play a single trap in the deck, and that is a single copy of Skill Drain, because Skill Drain is just really good in a deck like this because it's going to help you OTK your opponent because they're not going to have any monster effects that are on the field. And it just really helps out, especially with stuff like Night Express Knight that normal summons itself at 0, which it negates its effect, so it comes out at 3000, which is really awesome. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Juggernaut Libby, which is one of the best OTK pieces in the entire deck, or it is the OTK piece of the entire deck. It has the ability that once per turn, you can also Exy summon this card using a rank 10 machine monster you control, and you transfer all the materials to it. And then once per turn, you can detach a material from this card against 2000 attack defense, and also for the rest of the turn, you can only declare attacks with this card, and then during each battle phase, this card can make attacks on monsters up to the number of Exy materials it has +1. That is really awesome that a 4K beat stick can attack multiple times. It's super easy to summon, and it's just a ridiculously awesome OTK piece. We play 3 copies of Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max because you can detach a material and inflict 2000 points of damage to your opponent, which is really awesome in this deck. 1 copy of number 81. This card can detach a material and it becomes immune to everything, which is just awesome. Because you just detach a material, target a monster on, or during either player's turn, you can detach a material, target a face-up monster on the field, and that target's unaffected by other card effects except its own until the end phase, which is really helpful. 1 copy of number 35. The difference between your life points and your opponent's life points, your monsters gain as attack points, which is just really insane. I really love this card as a 1-of in this deck. 1 copy of AA Zeus, because AA Zeus can potentially like just board wipe your opponent. I know you have the copies of You have the copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, but this is just basically an extra one. You don't have to play it if you don't want to. If you're looking to build a budget train deck, you can take it out for a single copy of Sky Palace. This is another option if you want to play over it. So that is an option if you do want to take out the AA Zeus. But a single copy of Access Code Talker, which again can be a copy of Borreload or Boral Sword. This card pops multiple cards on the field, which is super, super helpful just to be able to pop all sorts of cards on the field and can be a really big OTK piece on its own. One copy of Unicorn because it spins stuff. One copy of Phoenix because it pops spells and traps. One copy of Cleafort Genius. Cleafort Genius plus your copy of your your copy of Urgent Schedule is really awesome because it has the ability that if two monsters are special summoned to a zone this card points to at the same time, then you get to add one level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is really neat because you can summon this, set an Urgent Schedule, activate it, and then grab an Earth Machine from the deck and not only get that, but get two monsters on your field at the same time, which is super helpful. One copy of Pentastag because if it points to something, it does piercing damage, which is ridiculous with the Juggernaut Libby. We play a single copy of Double-Headed Anger Knuckler. This card is kind of neat because it has the ability that cannot be used as link material, and you can use one of the following effects this card once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard and then target a level 10 Earth Machine in the graveyard, special summon to defense position, but its effect's negated. Or if this card's in the graveyard, you can send a card from your hand or field to the grave to special summon this card, which is pretty good. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerade because sometimes you're going to want to go to a Unicorn during your opponent's turn, which this card is ridiculously helpful at doing that. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play around with. It's really insane how easy it is to OTK your opponent. Essentially, any two monsters equals a copy of Gustav, which then you can detach to inflict 2,000, and then immediately summon Juggernaut Libby on top, and just OTK your opponent with the Juggernaut Libby. If it doesn't finish them off, you can then just make Zeus and sit on the Zeus and wait on them to do something, which is hilarious. Like, it's a super, super cool deck. I love the way it plays. It's like one of my favorite OTK decks in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! There's so many different variants of this. You can build it with Shadows, you can build it pure like this, you can do Earth Machine. It's just such a fun deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.